Good morning. Because this service is all about rest, we're starting off with a prelude, which is called Ashokan Farewell. And this piece was composed by Jay Unger. Most of you will recognize this piece. It was the theme song to the PBS series on the Civil War. But Jay Unger actually wrote this piece at the end of a workshop in Ashokan, New York, which is very close to where Christine and I grew up. The Ashokan Reservoir was a beautiful place, and it was a beautiful place to rest and relax. And this piece just kind of embodies that rest and relaxation of this beautiful location.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to MVU today. My name is Samar Adi, and I will be your pastoral associate for today. Welcome to those of you here in person and those of you here watching virtually. Wherever you are, whoever you are all welcome. Please turn around and wave at the camera to those folks online. Welcome. There are many layers that come together to put together just the Sunday service. I truly appreciate the time and energy given by the folks who helped make this happen. Thank you, and welcome back to our minister, Reverend Matthew Foncreri. And welcome, and thank you to our welcoming team who greets everyone as they come in, as well as our hospitality team, who puts together refreshments after the service. Thank you to our music director, Chris Tackett, over there. Thank you to our RE coordinator, Stacy Sosa, and the volunteers who help run RE. To our audiovisual crew, which today includes Lee and Todd McNeely, Todd and Susan Alexander, as well as participants in the service, such as Robin Bausell, Linda Logan, Grace Yellen, and Christine Vivona. Thank you so much. I also have so much gratitude for all of you who help outside of each Sunday service. I would like to appreciate the many people that come together to help keep our congregation, our programming running. Those of you who come in during the week to check in on the building, who run the multiple programs we have, members of the various committees, our board, as well as those who spend hours in administrative office answering calls and emails. It takes a community, and there is always room for those of you who are curious about how you can give of your time and talent. Thank you for joining us today for today's service and how rest is resistance. We will explore how rest can lead to growth and healing. Welcome, and thank you for attending today. Hello? All right. Today's chalice opening is My Dreams, They Matter, by Roddy Bell Shelton Biggs. Though at times I may forget who I am or who becoming, my dreams, they matter. When I make space for all that is, when I move away from that which no longer serves me, when I make space with the new possibility in the circumstances, my dreams do matter. They matter. They hold many truths and many turning points. They matter. Though at times I may convince myself they don't, they do. For they call me back in time and forward still. My dreams matter. They matter as they pull me inward and yet simultaneously push me outside of myself. My dreams matter. They matter as they speak to the breadth of love, of pain, of hope that rest deep in the fabric of my blood and bones. My dreams matter as they are connected to the dreams of my ancestors, connected to all who have graced this earth before, who grace it here and now, and will be connected to all who grace this earth when we grace this place no more. My dreams, they matter. Your dreams, they matter. Our dreams, they matter. They matter.
We light our celebration chalice in times of joy, for new life, and in times of sorrow, when we as a community experience a loss. And so today I light our chalice for Cheryl Hiller. Cheryl belonged to our congregation for nearly 20 years now, participating in congregational life even before she was a member in September of 2005. She came to us as a Unitarian Universalist transplant from Chicago. More recently, she participated through Zoom and viewing our recorded services, so there's a good chance that many, myself is included in this, we didn't ever meet her person to person. Those who did know her well have shared with me that she was fun and spunky, that she loved Irish music, and that she deeply, deeply loved this congregation. Maggie Steinhorn Crone Davis, in her eclectic memoir, Caring in Remembered Ways, The Fruit of Seeing Deeply, writes, "Love is our essence. It is seamless like a circle, saving like an answered prayer and a force that we can learn to direct." And continues, "How true is the line from the movie Angie? Everyone's got something broken. The less broken got to take care of the more broken. Ideally, we would care so abundantly that if we had 100 friends or 100 pets, each one would feel nourished. We would extend ourselves not because others told us to, but from the inside out. Though you may not know Cheryl personally, that does not mean that you have not felt her care within our congregation. You already have, and you do. You feel the force of her love, the compassion of her generosity within the circle of this people. I'm planning a celebration of life service for her at the end of this month, and it's one that will mirror what her family has already done for her in Washington, D.C. this weekend. They had a graveside service, and they had an Irish wake. If you're interested, please contact me directly or watch our weekly newsletter for more details. But today, in the light of this celebration chalice, I invite you to rest inside her love, the nourishment that she wove into the fabric of our community. Feel it now. The love that she offered from within her, and let it guide us in all of our days to come.
So we planned to sing Blackbird earlier in the month before we lost Cheryl. Blackbird was a song that was always very special to me. It was the song that my brother was learning on the guitar before he passed away. And it was always a song that we associated with him. We had it at his memorial. My entire life since losing him, this song has spoken to me in regard to him being free from the pain and the suffering of this world. We lost Cheryl the exact same weekend. I lost my brother 26 years ago, and we lost Cheryl about 2 weeks ago now. So we're going to sing this song today in tribute to both of them. And God willing, I won't cry my way through it. We'll cry together, Chris says. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the night of the dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to this moment to arise.
I invite you now to a time of contemplation, considering and pondering how to rest with intention. Rock-a-bye, baby, in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. What? Where's the wisdom or the common sense in nesting a cradle in a treetop without checking the forecast for strong gusts, or at least strength testing the tree's limbs? Where's the care or the concern? And why would we sing this to a child to help them fall asleep? As it turns out, Rock-a-bye Baby isn't alone in carrying an ominous meaning at bedtime. Other bedtime songs and nursery rhymes carry it too. It's as if they're warning us, beginning at a very early age, the world can be a dangerous place. And so we must take care when we rest. We must rest with intention. The Reverend Tricia Hersey, in her book, Rest is a Resistance, a Manifesto, calls out systems that endanger us all, that endanger our world. Capitalism, patriarchy, classism, ableism, racism. And she calls us into rest as a deeply spiritual and political means to resist them. Resisting through rest, well, it might sound counterintuitive, perhaps as irresponsible as laying a baby to sleep in a treetop cradle. Because resisting oppression calls for us to take action, not lying down. It calls for us to be passionate, not to sleep, doesn't it? But from her wisdom through her ancestry, her experience as a Black woman here in America, from womanist philosophy concerned with the daily issues of every woman, from her Christian faith and from her daydreams and her night dreams, Reverend Tricia offers us an uncommon sense of how to heal and dream and liberate ourselves. She writes, "We are socialized into systems that cause us to conform and believe our worth is connected to how much we can produce. Our constant labor becomes a prison, and it allows us to become disembodied. We become easy with the systems that manipulate us, disconnected from our power as divine beings. We become hopeless. We forget how to dream. This is how grind culture continues." And she concludes, "We internalize the lies and we become the agents of an unsustainable way of living." And so resting with intention means reclaiming our birthright of rest. Resting because we're human, and not because of what we produce or what's in our bank account or the strength of our credit score. It's a means, too, that resting becomes a way of rejuvenation. And only you know how to rejuvenate yourself. Everyone begins with their own origin story, a history, the identities that they are interconnected with, says Reverend Tricia. There is room to rest in freedom of managing your own deprogramming journey. And it's never an either or, it's always both and. You don't have to grind or hustle, accept burnout as normal, or be in a constant state of exhaustion or sleep deprivation. You don't have to kill yourself spiritually or physically to live a fruitful life. Think of that. Rest. The time when we're the most vulnerable and defenseless can be a time of power if we approach it with our intention. It can be a time where we begin to heal from the trauma of oppression. We can dream of futures beyond what endangers us all. We can liberate ourselves and our world. All the songs shared this morning are songs of rest, either sung at a bedtime for children or at a bedside of those who are sick and dying. Within each one is a warning about the dangers of our world, systems that would steal our humanity. And in each one, there is a call to rest, physically, mentally, spiritually, soulfully. A call for you to rest and be free. The very act of trying to look ahead is an act of hope. Billy was born well inside of a shipyard, first son of a riveter's son. Billy was raised as the ship grew a shadow. A great hole would blot out the light of the sun. And 6 days a week he would watch his poor father, a working man, live like a slave. He'd drink every night and he'd dream of a future, of money he never would save. Billy would cry when he thought of the future. Soon came a day when the bottle was broken. They launched the great ship out to sea. He felt he'd been left on a desolate shore, to a future he desperately wanted to flee. But what else was there for a riveter's son? A new ship to be built, new work to be done. One day he dreamed of a ship and the world. It would carry his father and he to a place they would never be found, to a place far away from this town. Trapped in the cage of a skeleton ship, all the workmen suspended like flies, caught in the flare of a acetylene light. A working man works till the industry dies. Billy would cry when he thought of the future. Then what they call an industrial accident crushed those it couldn't forgive. They brought Billy's father back home in an ambulance. Brass watch, a check, maybe 3 weeks to live. What else was there for a riveter's son? A new ship to be built, more work to be done. That night, he dreamed of the ship and the world. It would carry his father and he to a place they could never be found, to a place far away from this town, a Newcastle ship without coals. They would sail to the island of souls. Sundays, our children gather for our religious exploration program next door in a room that we've called the Nest. How is that for treetop imagery? They begin their program each week with lighting a chalice and reciting that this is a church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. And you can join me in that if you want. This is a church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We teach them that they have inherent worth and beauty that is not tied to what they produce or consume. And so today I would add that this is a church of hopeful dreams. And I lift up this prayer. Spirit of life of many names and of none at all, may we dream with hope. In the ebb and flow of life, in the blowing of winds fair or ill, on seas calm or stormy. Let us dream of futures where we are whole once again. May we rest, finding ease in our bodies, not in repayment for the labor of our minds or our hearts or our hands, but because it is naturally nourishing, because it's essentially human. And may we breathe in and out as our bodies allow freely relaxing and enjoying and sharing our minds and our hearts and our hands. And awake or asleep, may we dream. Dreams where our thoughts are liberated from the teachings that imprison us. Dreams where our feelings, our pride and our joy and our courage move in us away from shame or despair or fear. Dreams of actions, compassionate and just, crafting life-giving systems of a people and a planet thriving, not struggling to stay alive. Spirit of life, O Spirit, in and among and beyond us, may we rest and breathe and dream. For tomorrow we rise. Amen. Hush, child, let your mama sleep through the night till we rise. Hush, child, let me soothe the shining tears that gather in your eyes. Hush, child, I won't leave. I'll stay with you to cross this bridge of sighs. Hush, child, I can't help the look of accusation in your eyes. The world is broken now. All is sorrow. Wise ones hang their heads. Hush, child, let your mommy sleep through the night till we rise. Hush, child, all the strength I need to fight, I find in your eyes, in your eyes.
I invite you to a time of rest with this breath meditation by the Reverend Sam Trumbore, who serves the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany, New York. Settle into your chairs, soften your gaze, or if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Let us turn inward now and feel the rhythm of the breath. In and out. In and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath, letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. A peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us. A stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one. Taking in oxygen sustenance and letting go of carbon dioxide waste. Taking in the fullness of experience, letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this community here and extending out, dedicated to cultivating the spirit of life, dedicated to being a beacon of love for all things.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to take a moment to welcome Reverend Matthew back. I'm so happy to see him here today. It's wonderful. You give a wonderful touch here. When Reverend Matthew suggested or asked for suggestions for lullabies for the July services, I thought of a few different things. And then a song came to me that I had sung for many years. And it's not a lullaby, but it is a song that brought a lot of peace to a lot of people. Back in the 70s, I became a part of a support group for people with AIDS. It was a horrible time. It was a very difficult time. But the group of people met, and they met with their families and friends in a park in West Hollywood. It was called the Hayride. It was attended by hundreds on a weekly basis and was led by a remarkable woman, Louise Hay, the author of the life-changing book, You Can Heal Your Life, which I still heartily recommend. This song became her signature song. And the song is I Love Myself the Way I Am by Jai Joseph. This song became the strength for everyone who was struggling through that horrible period in the world, and we learned to love ourselves in a world that denies self-love to you. We need to learn how to do that. It was particularly difficult for the gay population of West Hollywood, which I watched go down and down and down. It was a place of many tears and of incredible laughter. I made and lost a lot of friends, and I still maintain friendships with many who survived that deadly period of time. Though I am not a singer, I step out of my security place and I dedicate this song to them. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you just the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, because I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So until the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, but still I want to grow, because change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am. Thank you.
Well, now I'm all emotional. Do you wanna stay on the couch with me, Summer? You can. We're gonna continue, well, I guess conclude the interview series that we've been doing this month with one more guest on the couch. I'd love to invite Hobie to join me, please. Yeah. I'll warm it up for you. It's a leather couch, it gets chilly. Hi. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're going to share this mic.
Okay.
So let's start. Please share with us your name, your pronouns, and how long you've been a part of MVUU.
Hobart Donald Denny, guy. I think I started here in about 2007 over at the old place.
Which old place?
Cromwell.
Cromwell, okay. So what have you experienced here at MVUU that you love?
Fellowship. It's just a great place to be with a lot of interesting, challenging people. And just the whole idea of Unitarianism, the principles fit me very well.
And what is something that you are passionate about, Hobie?
Fellowship.
Okay. So, I'm tearing the house down. So what would you dream about teaching here? Or what part of yourself are you eager to share?
Can I talk about small group ministry now?
Please.
I'm very passionate about small group ministry, and I use a very broad definition of small group ministry. It can be mahjong, it can be a hiking group, it can be committee work, it can be anything that involves getting people together and getting acquainted with each other. You get a friend, you get a group, and then you grow into a fellowship that makes a very strong thing. And I'm particularly anxious to get started with something called small group fellowships like we had over at Cromwell, which was the Finding Heart group, where we'd get together for about 6 or 8 weeks, once a week, and talk about subjects, of a whole range of subjects. But the whole point of it was we became acquainted with each other, and I always felt that those meetings were incubators for other work in the community, and it was all about fellowship.
Wow, Hobie, if only there was some way that we could find out what everyone was dreaming about and passionate about and interested in learning about together in those small fellowships. Wouldn't that be so exciting if we had a way to do that?
It would be wonderful.
Well, in case you didn't get the subtle hint, this is where we're going. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out what are these things that excite us, that make us passionate, that we're dreaming about doing together so that we can bring back these small group relationships and these small group fellowships. So thank you so far to everyone who has participated in our interviews and the poll. There will be another poll coming out, it's the same poll, another link in this week's newsletter, and then we're going to extend it one more week so that you have a little time. Thank you to everybody who's already responded. If you haven't responded, you should, because who knows what may come of your dreams if you share them. Thank you so much, Hobie.
Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper, he loved that rascal Puff, and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea, and frolic in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea, and frolic in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billows sand. Jackie kept a lookout perch on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whenever they came. Pirate ships would lower their flag when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea, and frolic in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea, and frolic in mist in a land called Harmony. A dragon lives forever, but not so girls and boys. Ancient wings and giant strings make way for other toys. One very night it happened, Jackie Baker came no more, and up that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Up no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into his cave. Oh, Puff, the magic dragon, lives by the sea, and frolics in the autumn mist in a land called Harmony. Puff, the magic dragon, lives by the sea, and frolics in the autumn mist in a land called Harmony.
This coming week, the children of Hendricks Elementary, our neighbor right over here on Orange Grove, they all go back to school. Your kids are going back to school this week?
Yes.
Well, I imagine the children at Hendrick Elementary, just like the thousands of students in Flowing Wells District, where our church is situated, are probably excited for the beginning of a new school year, sad that the summer is coming to an end, and anxiously anticipating that infamous essay, What I Did on Summer Vacation. You recall that annual theme? That maybe through your own compositions or that rumor of its existence. Because I was in that latter group. I was, during my 12 years in the Tucson Unified School District, which also starts this next week, was never once asked to write on the theme of what I did during my summer vacation. And so in solidarity with local students here in the Sonoran Desert, I have drafted my essay, What I Did on My Summer Vacation by the Reverend Matthew Funk Crary. I've never been tasked with writing down what I did on vacation. Had I been asked, my grade school thoughts would have come to a simple summation: I sweated. 49 summers have passed, over half right here in the desert. Of those I've amassed, baked and sweltering, altogether I can with certainty assert, I sweated. This year, hotter still than all in recorded history, a global fire drill, and adapting my theme toward a future both scorching and blistery, we sweated. It's a cold sweat I feel, despite the onslaught of heat. Climate change is real. Faster than expected, it's a challenge we are not certain to meet, we sweated. And yet, I dream that our time in the heat of Sonora gives us wisdom of a clime, lessons in living, so that we might say without horror, we adapted. Not adaptation to increasing destruction, but the soulification of ourselves with our world, so that someday we would come to a final deduction. We thrived. The end. Gary Paul Nabhan, an ecumenical Franciscan brother, a conservationist, an ecologist, and a nature writer, he's immersed in desert spiritual traditions and in building cross-cultural collaborations. He's interested in facilitating border justice and food justice alternatives. And he writes, we need to return to learning about the land by being on the land, or better, by being in the thick of it. What is the best way that we stay in touch? That is the best way we stay in touch with the fates of its creatures, its indigenous cultures, its earthbound wisdom. That is the best way that we can be in touch with ourselves. In the thick of the Sonoran Desert today, all of our senses tell us it's dangerously hot, searing to the touch, blinding to the eyes. Silence meets our ears. There's even a smell and a taste to the Sonoran summers. And in response, we sweat. It's a means for our bodies to cool down, but we need water and shelter, and we need to slow down to maintain that cooling. In this way, the annual intense Sonoran heat, inhospitable as it is, insists, it demands that we rest. And it's counterintuitive, but this desert danger is a carrying warning. You must rest now. Rest as the desert plants and animals do, digging deep and excavating at this time. Rest as Ophelia Zepeda, a Thana Otham elder, poet, professor of linguistics at the U, and an annual speaker at the UU Church in Tucson, remembers. In the dark shadows of an early morning, the muffled movements in the outdoor kitchen filter around the corner where we sleep. My mother and her mother begin preparations for the day. The kerosene lamp is the only light until the fire is started in the adobe cooking stove. The crackling of dry desert wood always sounds the same. The odor is always familiar. The wood lights quickly and heats up fast. The pots and the pans hanging on the saguaro rib fence make soft clinks in the darkness. With muffled movement, the two women prepare fresh tortillas, eggs, and coffee for breakfast. Like the people before them, these women gauged the movement of the summer sun and the amount of work that needed to be done. They worked carefully to get the heaviest household work done, work that was too much to carry out under the late mid-morning or afternoon sun. The women planned their day around the heat and the coolness of the summer day. They knew the climate. They felt confident in it. They knew the weather and its movements. And there's a wisdom to the weather, the climate, to the desert, and it compassionately calls our bodies to match the movement and rhythm of this time of year. In a culture that would dominate the environment, it's an uncommon sense of things to stop and listen, to listen to the earth, not to use the resources, but to listen. And we can perceive how well that other way is working for us. A grind culture that demands domination not only over the earth, but over others. A hierarchy of human beings based on gender and class and race and age and ability, and so much more. A grind culture that demands we dominate our own bodies, that we deny our need to rest. Reverend Tricia holds it this way: grind culture is violence, and violence creates trauma, and we have been traumatized deeply. We need rest in order to heal. We need to heal in order to dream, and we need to dream. Dreams that are improbable, impossible, of futures beyond all that endangers us and the planet at this moment, free from the grind. It's not easy. As I reported, during my summer vacation, I sweated a lot, but I also studied and I thought, and I wrote. I even tried my hand at bad poetry. And there's a pile of books that I brought to show and tell all of the rabbit holes that I fell down joyfully, tumbling. And I listened to Rest is Resistance, a manifesto on an audiobook, letting Reverend Tricia's voice and wisdom wash over me like a summer rain shower. But I didn't really rest. Not really. Not with the intention that Reverend Tricia calls us to. Not with the intention that the desert heat demands that the animals and the plants and the people and the ancestors and the earthbound wisdom knows at this time of year. The closest that I came was in daydreaming as I watched the summer clouds. Do you remember just passing the time watching the clouds, imagining the shapes, letting magic emerge? When did I let cloud watching make way for other things? In crisp billows, wispy trails, in ominous gray clouds, heavy with water and angry with lightning, I saw dragons soaring in the blue skies, giants tipping their teacups, and the earth and the sky soulfully whole, one single living thing. And I wondered, what is the shape of the desert's dreams? It must be sensuous, full of sights and sounds and tastes, touches, smells that can only be found in Sonora, like that clean smell of creosote and dust just after a rain. The dreams must be whole. They're of heat and cold, of prickliness and softness, hard and fluid life and death, rest and waking. I imagine the dreams of the desert are for all to awaken to this soulful wholeness, to rest and breathe and dream. And I remembered Reverend Tricia's wisdom that this work is this work is about more than naps and about more than literal sleep. How do I unravel? How do I deprogram? And the answer, she says, is you do it slowly. Wonderful. You do it slowly and with intention, and you do it with care. And you do it simply by believing that you deserve rest. And with the certainty that comes from dreaming, I know that the desert dreams exactly that. You deserve rest. Beautiful and perfect as you are glorious. And you have nothing more to prove, even if our grind culture insists that you do. Rest and resist it. Rest and be human. Rest and be free. And so may we awaken to that desert dream together. May we find among ourselves a rest that resists. May we rise up in our world and share that dream now and in all of our days to come. Summer and I are going to read you 10 meditations from Rest is a Resistance, a manifesto, and we want to invite you to repeat them back to us in a whisper, or perhaps silently, echoing whatever call to rest that you need right now. I deserve to rest.
I am worthy of rest.
I am not lazy. How could I be lazy? My ancestors are too brilliant for that.
Capitalism wants my body to be a machine. I am not a machine.
I am a magical and divine human being.
I have the right to resist grind culture.
I don't have to earn rest.
Do less, watch how I thrive.
Ease is my birthright.
I will rest.
I will rest. Thank you. Our final sacred song is one we opened this month with, Rainbow Connection. It's a reminder of our many dreams and how we share them. It's always sung best with a little bit of Kermit the Frog in your voice. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join your voices together.
Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to all our participants as we explored Rest is Resistance. There's a saying I saw a few years ago on a coffee mug that I resonated with, although I didn't buy the mug. It did stick with me. It echoes the ideas of Reverend Tricia with the saying, "Your worth is not determined by your productivity." It's something I would say to myself whenever I get caught up in that striving loop, what Reverend Matthew talked about, that grind culture, being too future focused and being somewhere other than right here. Rest was not something that came easy. It had to be earned after finishing up the long list of things that just had to get done. As an immigrant, this was role modeled by most people in my family, and there was a lot of pressure when someone took too much time off. There was no such thing as a summer vacation. When I went on maternity leave for my oldest, it was the first time I hadn't been working for a significant period since I was 14 years old. I wish I could say that I enjoyed that time. Actually, during that time, I did tie some of my self-worth to what I could do. And I struggled and was constantly creating busy work to feel productive. I shared with Reverend Matthew right before that my husband came home to find me with lots of magic erasers and trying to clean all areas of the house that I just hadn't had time for before. And so it took some work in going into my second maternity leave before I could start seeing rest as something vital that didn't need to be earned and that it was okay to rest. I had to teach myself that to move forward, it was important to slow down and give myself the downtime to just be, without having to focus on the next thing or strive to be somewhere else. So giving myself that intentional time and slowing down helped start me down this path of healing. I hope you have opportunities to reflect and explore for yourselves on where you need for your areas of rest over this next week. Thank you. So a couple of announcements. First one is our July Woven Basket partner, Youth on Their Own. It's an organization dedicated to the success of homeless youth. I've known quite a few teenagers who arrived at group homes or foster families with only, if they were lucky, some clothes in a garbage bag or a backpack, and many more that actually didn't even have that. And so when we connected them to Youth on Their Own, I've seen them get clothes, school supplies, backpacks, ability to stay on school teams or after-school activities they wouldn't have been able to afford. They've been provided with help with transportation, after-school activities, mentorship, and that's just naming a few things. And so its impact is deeply felt by its participants. And the baskets will be out there after our service. Our second announcement is the Baja 4 is offering adult Our Whole Lives OWL classes every Saturday in August via Zoom. There are 4 sessions, 2 hours each, and the cost is $40 total, although scholarships are available. This class will be facilitated in part by Pat Moyer and Steve Botorf. And if you're interested, please see the newsletter or Stacy Sosa for more information and the sign-up link. Deadline to register is fast approaching, so don't wait. And our chalice extinguishing today is Participants of the Universe. Reminded that we are part and participants of the universe, let us go forth from the quiet of this hour, encouraged to strive towards faithfulness to the best in ourselves, in others, and in the whole of creation. Thank you and blessed be.